Welcome to our demonstration on using the retail portal system with the TGTG catalog tools. This assumes that you've already had a retail portal account set up and are also part of the TGTG system. So let's go to settings first, and in settings you go to catalog settings. Last time we had the summer catalog. We're just going to select the new issue, which is the fall 22 catalog here. So we'll select that and then we'll save it. That creates our linking here. There's some other settings in here for pushing redirects. We'll talk about that a little bit later, and also how the landing page associates with redirects. Okay, let's take a look now at using the data tools here. So we're also assuming, first of all, that you've set up your push settings in an earlier session or have already configured it if you want. We'll go under data feeds to the TGTG catalogs, and you'll notice that it preloads with the items from the selected catalog, in this case the fall selected catalog, fall 22. At this point, the products are basically showing you all of the information from as it appears from TGTG. So the SKUs, and then the product name, and then as we go across, it's how it relates to your store SKU, how it relates to the products in your POS or e-commerce system, specifically Shopify. And right now we see that nothing is really mapped up together. So we want to do the first steps of mapping the data together. It's pretty straightforward. What we're going to do is select all the items on this page. So it's all items from the catalog here. And then we're going to run a command here called get the matchup. So the matchup command, and we'll run that. It takes a few minutes to run. So while it's running, you can check the action logs to see how the status is going. So go up to our action logs and see the matchup is scheduled. Now we'll just pause the recording for a few minutes to let this catch up. It takes about 5 minutes typically for the system to catch up and run. Okay, so we ran that, and now we'll go back in. You can see that the matchup is finished. We go back to our TGTG catalogs, and we see, when we reload the page, that it's matched up to several of our items. So basically it's saying this item from the catalog is associated with this particular SKU in Shopify here, and it makes a mapping between the items so that you can push data to the website. There's a lot of things that aren't mapped up here, and the reason is because prior to the mapping here, we didn't really have these items of any level at all in Shopify. So first thing I'm going to do then is, using a CSV in Shopify, I'm going to go and import all those products. And then once those are in there, I'll have the core of which to match up the items to. I've done that. And now if we look at some of the products, we'll see that the products in Shopify are basically bare bones. It's the same thing if you would upload it from a POS system. So it's got the vendor SKU number, the barcode, the vendor name, and that's basically about it. Our price, and it would have stock information if we were doing it. But it doesn't have any images or descriptions or keywords or anything like that. So if you did this the day before, these will already show up in your local data in Retail Portal. But if not, then we need to run a command to get that data from Shopify. Oops, it's not under here in the TGTG stores. We need to go to Store Products. In the Store Products session, we'll go to Get All Product Data, and we'll run that command. This command can take a little while to run, just based on how much you have going on. So we'll check our action logs, and we'll see that the Get Product stuff is finished now after a little bit, 20 minutes or so. So now if we go back to our TGTG tools, here we go, TGTG catalog, we can run the matchup again on everything. So we're going to select all, and we'll run a new matchup. And again, we'll let it do its thing here. Pause while it does that. And we've finished it a few minutes later. So let's go back now to TGTG catalogs. And we've seen that everything in this case is matched up. You may find a few items that didn't match up in your case. We have very clean data here that we're working with. So we know that all the barcodes are very specific, for example. But you probably have a few items. In that case, you can just map it. And what you're seeing up there is on the top row is the SKU and name and the vendor information as associated with each product. And then below that is all the data from your POS system or your e-commerce platform, actually, to be more precise. So we want to search for a product. In this case, let's try searching for butterfly. And it shows all the items that are butterfly. Or we may be more specific. Let's use a UPC search, and we find a very specific item. You can select it to map them together. In this case, it was already mapped, but we're just going to update that. And once you get your items mapped correctly, then the next easy task to do is to push product information, the images, descriptions, etc., to your website. There's a lot of power in that, but sometimes you want to be a little bit more specific than just pushing and overwriting everything. If you have products in your website from previous sessions or that you've had in there a while, you may want to not just push everything here. It'd do a great job, but it could overwrite any customizations you have. So if we go and let's go to the store products listing, we've got a little bit more options here. First of all, we want to work specifically with the TGTG holiday stuff. So under our STN SKU, this is how it matches up to items from in the piston. We'll just go ahead and type TGTG underscore FA22 in this case, and it sees that we've got 89 records that match that. There may be a few items that are multiple in the POS system, so we'd have to address those afterwards. Okay, so we got the items there, and then let's say we want to determine what do we want to push for. If you scroll to the right and do a 0 filter on the image count, this gives us a quick indication of products that more than likely have not been pushed to date. You can also use the push column there, but in this case we find that we have all these items. I'm going to check a few of them. That item, you can see on the left, nothing in it. The right has the product details that are in the local database. And I'm marking and stepping through those, and you'll notice that it's checking them as I do that. You can do that for a lot of them, or in this case, I'm just going to select all the ones I filtered, and then I'm going to push to Shopify. In this case, push as command is what I'm using with. This is defaulting to the full push. In your case, you may have a little bit different. Maybe you are using a POS sync where you don't want the vendor SKU to be overwritten, so that would be in your push settings, for example. That's a pretty common options to avoid. There's also some other settings here that you have in your configurations. In this case, though, we're going to use the full push, and we'll say OK. And so it's going to put all those products into the queue. Again, just let it do its thing here, and then I'll check back in a few minutes. Okay, we've pushed all those items, and you can see everything's matching up. We'll go check those here in a little bit. The other thing that we can do, actually, let's do this first. Let's go back and filter TGTG FA22 again. Again, that's just the fall 22 items. And this time, let's look for products that are greater than 0. We also want to push the product tags over there for this issue. That'll help with the mapping as well as filtering. So we'll stick these 9 items. In this case, we don't want to overwrite the existing information on the website, so we're going to go push as again and then run the command. And then this time I've got a preset here that's called tags only, so I'm going to just say that, and its additional info is all that it's getting pushed. It's not going to overwrite any images or descriptions or anything like that. So we'll set that into our queue to push as well. And again, this is 9 items that we're just pushing the fall 22 tags for the products instead of all of the product details. So let's check our logs, and both of those items are in the queue. I'll just check back here in a second. And they're finished. All right, pushed. Took a few minutes here. So now if we go to our website and we want to check stuff, there's a couple different ways you can check. If you search the product name, for example, let's just find one of the product names. How about the I Love Bats puzzle? Sounds like fun. And we'll search for that. And oops, I guess it helps to be in the right place. Let's go to the product listing instead of inventory. Search for it there. And here's the I Love Bats item. Went from having no details to product images, tags, descriptions, all the details you need to sell it well. The other way you can search is through some custom tags that we put in, or actually through the issue. So let's search TGTG's F822 all, and we'll see that we get all of those products. It's useful to use as a filter to find all the products. So pushing those tags allowed us to find all those things really quickly. We can also use a tag that gets pushed when STN writes to the items. In this case, it's the phrase STN pushed. If you want to be very specific, you can say I want to search for in the tagged with to the same thing, STN pushed. In this case, we'll see that there's some other products previously were pushed that never got cleaned up. But what we recommend doing is basically once you push data, you're going to proof that and do any minor changes in your Shopify account. So here we step into the items and we're going to say we're going to get rid of STN push. Maybe there's other tags wild they don't want for this thing. It's a little bit odd. Maybe cute. Whatever you're using for your particular tag structure for filtering or anything you may want to adjust. Then we'll save that. And quickly as that, we're on to the next item. We can jump through and say, okay, what do I want to do this? I want to get rid of the STN push tag. That's just a notifier. Maybe I wanted to move the images around or anything like that, or adjust the descriptions. But you kind of step through them pretty quickly, one after the other, and the products are ready to sell to your customers. So the other thing that's going on with the TGTG tools is what we call the remapping or redirects. First of all, in your settings, you want to make sure that the redirects are on if you're going to use those. And then what happens in the TGTG tool here is that if products are active, they're on your Shopify account, they're published, and they're in stock, essentially, then the redirect will be created every hour when the system checks in to say, okay, this particular product should be actively redirect. So when a customer clicks on the flip book, it'll go right to the product, even though that link from the flip book is slightly different. You'll see it change there really quick as it goes from a SKU-based link to the actual product, and that's handled in the back end through the redirects architecture of your Shopify account. And then the STN tool automatically checks in every hour and adjusts that. There's also a page that we recommend setting up if you're using the redirects. So in our example here, we'll look at this new Spring Toys catalog. We would want to create a new one for the fall issue, but we haven't done that in this demo. There's some information on our demo page here just intended to illustrate what this concept is, but essentially for the customers you'd have a information page and then a hey, sorry, the items you're looking for are not out of stock. In this case we chose to show the rest of the items from that spring catalog. And then in our settings is where we'll define what that page is being linked to, and all the products are updated over time throughout the life of that session or the life of that issue from the TGTG. Thank you again and have a great day.